You want to get the motion?
Table it. Good. Do we have to have a motion to reconvene? He's good. He's good. We had a motion from Clint to reconvene.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Kevin Keener,
Aye.
Drew Jackson, Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight. I did that backwards.
All right. We're at number 2 on our list of business. This case, I had to recuse myself. This is my application, so I'm going to turn this over to Vice Chair Drew Jackson.
Move to item 2, consideration of case PC 2020-18. Ms. Parker.
This is a rezoning request and a PUD for intersection near 15th and Arkansas. This is an area that's right next to the tile shop there on Arkansas. The applicant is wanting to place in a single family units that's going to be a duplex and a single family homes type of style. It'll be 1 bedroom, 1 bath units. Right now, the development plans call for six of the single family units and 14 of the duplex units. Staff has not received anything from the public on opposition. The property is just over 2.5 acres, total of 74 parking spots. There's city water nearby, and the applicant's planning on extending those. The land use map was a little hard to read in this. I included it in your packet, but there's one little segment there that's actually for high density residential, and then right next to it is industrial. Based on just looking at the map and looking at the land use map, I gathered that it was most likely going to be considered industrial on the land use map, but do remember that that is currently being worked on as well. So that area could likely change.
So point of clarification, you had mentioned that technically it does not comply. You're saying it does not comply because that is currently industrial on future land use map. But the little square next to it on future land use is R3?
It is.
I
And
just want to make sure I'm reading that right. It's kind of odd.
it is hard to read because well, our land use map is hard to read in general anyways. I struggle with it daily. But I just based on looking at the way the streets are, it was a logical and educated guess that that's probably where it was. And this is one of the reasons I should point out that we are changing our land use map, because you shouldn't have a small little area like that. Anyways.
Any questions for Ms. Parker?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Sure.
So when you're developing a piece of property such as this, looking at this from a single lot standpoint, it's obvious what the rear of the lot is and the sides of the lot are. But when you're developing this for several units, how do you determine your rear property line versus side?
It's a good question.
Are these going to be
Trying to find.
Are these going to be divided into lots that someone can buy? No, this is a rental deal. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why we're doing the PUD, because it
Yeah,
is on
okay.
one lot.
I figured that's the case. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah. But if memory serves, based on knowledge, the front of the property would be considered in Arkansas. The rear of the property would be on that backside,
Yeah.
if you will, for lack of a better word, would be the opposite end of Arkansas.
Any more questions for Ms. Barker before we invite the applicant?
I don't think so.
Mr. Keener?
This is, just to confirm, this is one lot, staying one lot. And so we're asking for R3. And also the PUD is the overlay. And the reason for the PUD is, and the property next to it have development very similar to this one. We have some statutes or some ordinances that require us to connect these buildings since they're all on one lot. And so the PUD is to alleviate that rule. I don't know that the city or developers, or I don't know that we found any value in enforcing that particular piece of it. So that's the reason for the PUD. We meet the setbacks, all the setbacks, and spacing in between the units. We exceed the parking requirements, and so that's it.
So are there any other variances from R3 other than the connection of the units?
I don't believe so.
Ms. Berger, can you speak to what the purpose of the requirement to connect was?
Based on what staff has done research on, there's nothing that we could find actually in the ordinances that state that. That's something that's been we're trying to figure it out, to be honest, where it came from, and we've not been able to really find anything. It was something that was put in place to essentially meet fire code so that they could have one building instead of two. Why, how, I don't know. It was well before my time that it was invented. And what you may or may not know is that a lot of the ordinances that are in place have not been enforced. And then there's been ordinances that have been just overlooked, or just they've not really done much with it. So, or they just made things up.
Yeah, this has come up in projects in the past, but it hasn't happened in quite a while, but to my recollection, I think that attachment deal was kind of going back to what Kevin mentioned a few minutes ago, where our ordinances state that on a single lot, you can only have one primary residence.
Correct.
And maybe that was relocated to an R1 and R2.
That correct.
So in order to get around, that you could build 2 or 3 structures on a lot, but connect them.
Right. And then
being connected, they were now one. I think it was a workaround to begin with.
Yeah, it was, because they didn't want to install the sprinkler systems and all that if it was more than one certain number of units.
Yeah, if you get over 2.
And then the
you're
units
supposed
is
to
one
sprinkle it,
structure.
and,
So that's the biggest. That's what we found, but we
You
haven't
get into
found
fire
anything already.
separation requirements between 2 structures on a single lot. And so if they're connected, they're one structure. In my mind, it's always just been an easy workaround. I think it's prudent to eliminate it, and like you've set forth in this PUD, I think it's,
I think that's a better way of handling it.
yeah.
Rather than trying to get around the code, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I don't see, I don't fully understand why everything happened the way it did, but that's what we're trying to fix.
Did staff have any other, comments or issues outside of the confusion around future land use?
No,
The only other comment that I remember coming up with on this was, and I didn't scale any of this out, but on our percentage of lot coverage for impervious surfaces, has that been looked at, or?
I honestly don't believe it has.
Okay.
But it would have to meet that percentage.
Yeah. So there's no plat that will come back on this since it's one piece.
Not right now.
Right.
Are any of your infrastructure gonna be public? Like the road's gonna be public in there? So yeah, there wouldn't be anything platting that he would have
Right.
to do. And you guys wouldn't hear anything. The only thing that city council would have to hear is if there's any, public utilities. That would be it, but it's all gonna be private roads and all that, so we wouldn't have, and it's one lot, so we wouldn't have any platting that would need to occur.
We do have city sewer on the property that's adequate to serve the development, and we will have to bring water from the tile shop down the side of the road there, down the easement a little ways for water. All these will be individually metered, water, electric, any other utilities all be individually metered.
Do you have a second?
I'll second I'll second.
Call for a vote?
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Clint Horner, Drew Jackson.
Thank you.
Any new business?
Not at this time.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.